Hello guys and welcome to yet another challenge. Fasten your seatbelts because today we have a new story. The story of how we finally beat A07 Race. If you ever played Trackmania Nations forever, you just know how haunted the maps are. With millions that played the official campaign for over 14 years. There are 65 tracks in total, all considered to be very prestigious, due to the very nature of the tracks and players' desire to reach the absolute limit. Some examples to that are A07 Race, the very first track in the game, and perhaps the most haunted as well. Lately beaten by Lakadal after 500 hours of trying. And EU5 Endurance, the final boss, the obstacle that stands between so many players and beating the entire game, with 60 laps in total where you can't afford to do many mistakes for close to 1 hour. But our story is not about the start of this campaign nor the end of it. It is about the journey to beat A07 Race, the very first drifting track in the game, making it the most haunted drifting map in Trackmania Nations forever, which by itself is the most haunted version of Trackmania yet. So far I believe that you got the idea of how optimized the track is. But I didn't play it because it's prestigious. I played it because to be faster on this track, you can't simply trick your way to the finish. So if you want to beat someone, you really have to try hard and you really have to try your best to be able to clock in a faster time after a lot of hard work. This track out of every single track symbolizes skill to me to this very day. Also, if this track looks familiar to you, it's probably because of Ritual, who made a great video about A07 and its amazing history, that I highly recommend you to watch in case you haven't already, where we said something that is 100% true, discussing what it takes to beat such a challenging map. You're completely surrounded by walls, meaning precision is one of the key components to get better while playing this track, and as one would expect, driving closer to the walls can help you drive a faster time. But precision on its own is simply not enough. You have infinite amount of possible lines, and each one has a different starting point, different angle for the turn, different speed and also different timing. It sounds complicated, right? That's because it's complicated, because precision and timing alone are simply not enough, and that means that dedication is what you actually need. If you ever saw me hunting a track, then you already know that I usually hunt for 2 to 12 hours, to beat a world record if I'm able to do it, with a few exceptions in the past where I drove for nearly 50 hours. But A07 is a whole different story, and the reason for that is the players hunting it. Racehans, PabloGD and Demon, they all have one thing in common. They are perfectionists. PabloGD improved the world record 5 different times, Racehans tried it for quite a bit as well, and Demon tried A07 for nearly 600 hours. If you want to beat a perfectionist, there is really only one way for you to get there. You need to be a perfectionist yourself. I'm always going for tough challenges, like first world on TM2 Stadium, clean sweeping the Carber campaign and winning a Trophy 9 in Trackmania 2020. But when it comes to A07 it felt different, because I wasn't sure I'm good enough, and to understand why, we need to rewind to ancient Trackmania times. Just like today, I mostly played offline, with the exception of a bit of online fun with friends every now and then. Goals were easier too back then. I went for strong auto times, definitely not world records. I just didn't think I'm strong enough yet. But then, it all changed. I just found about Trackmania Exchange, or TMX in short, where you can see world records and compete versus other players' times directly. This motivated me to play much more, and so, fast forward to 2014, my journey with A07 had just begun. I drove a modest 26:32 time, which was quite strong for the time being, but also at the same time was nothing too special. But then 1 year passed and I got a bit stronger, so in 2015 I managed to improve 5 whole hundredths of a second, all the way up to 26:27. Just 1/100ths behind both Demon and Racehans, both sharing the world record at the time. Demon noticed that and casually broke the world record 1 day later, driving at 26:25. I remember thinking it could be beaten, but my ends on this track were simply not good enough. I always went too wide, and while I had more speed, I drove too much distance, so I got sniped every single time. For some reason at the time, I thought the end is simply not possible for keyboard, and this made me move on. Since 2010, Demon dominated this map and had a world record all the way until 2018, 8 years later, with the exception of 1 day where Racehans claimed the world record as well. But something was about to happen. PabloGD entered the scene and shocked everyone on October 2018, where he beat the world record, getting a 26:24. But as you all know, PabloGD is quite a perfectionist, so he later improved to a 26:23, a 26:22, a 26:21, and last year to the amazing ultra crazy 26:20, done on May 2021. Needless to say, everyone went crazy. I too declared it GG. My best time was still that old .27, whole 700ths after the world record. I always felt like .20 was possible, but actually doing it, this is next level. But this made me realize something. PabloGD is a keyboard player, So the end, while painful, is also possible to me as well. If you followed carefully, you noticed I was always close to the world record, but never had it, which now just got way tougher, so I would have to be really crazy to go and try it out. So I went for it, but not for world record at first. I felt like top 3 is respected enough, and will help me get closure with the track that I didn't play since so long ago, since about 6 years in 2015. So in the end of May 2021, I came back to hunt A07, and I actually did much better than I initially expected. I almost immediately improved my old 2627 to a 2625, and one day later to a 2624, finally reaching my goal of top 3 once again on A07 Race. And that, folks, could have been the end of the story, except it wasn't, because on the 12th of November, Demon went crazy, improving to a 2621, and later that day, not even 30 minutes later, Demon uploaded a mind-blowing 2620 run, the first world record tie in 3 years. I knew one thing for certain: if I don't get his world record soon enough, I will most likely never have it, which would be a shame, because this is one of my favorite tracks in the game. So on November 2021 as well, I came back to hunt this track. I still thought I can do it, but I wanted to stay close to it, and close I stayed, because a few days later, on the end of November 2021, I improved to a 2621. 300s improved all at once. This was beyond my wildest expectations, so beyond them that I couldn't do it again or even get close to it, with yet another 2622 over 2623. So I decided to move on, thinking I may come back to it one day. And eventually I did, thanks to my brother. Let me explain. We were approaching December, and a new tool-assisted speedrun by the player Schwitz showed a new theoretical limit to the track, an incredible 2612, also symbolizing my brother's birthday, December 26. So I decided to come back to the track, hoping I can maybe get it before his birthday, thinking that could be super epic if we pull it off. And then I got nothing. You see, when you get a point 21, it gets insanely tough to improve. So Racehans, me, Demon, PabloGD, we all kinda got stuck. But I also saw some room left for improvement. Demon had a much better end than PabloGD, but one of his turns could be a bit more precise, so if mixed perfectly, you have a good chance to go faster. Noticing that, I decided for the first time in my life that I won't stop until I actually get it. I had about 50 hours at least on A07 already, and I was ready for at least 100 more. I finally was dedicated enough to really try it out. So precision, timing, dedication, it was all there. But I still couldn't do it. I missed something else. And that thing I missed is focus. You see, even if you're dedicated and you know what you're doing and you're precise, and even your timing is good enough, you will still fail, and you will fail a lot. It's tough getting into the zone, and if you're already in there, it's even tougher to stay in it. I think music helps, so I decided to make a whole new A07 playlist, with my top energy songs, and later even a smaller playlist to be even more focused. It all came down to racing lines now, and A07, while being super simple to finish, is also super hard to master. The start and setup, the drift, and the release and drop section all live together hand in hand, but that was before the uphill drift attacked. This map is very unique, because normally, every single section is the contrary of the next. A wide drift giving you more speed first means you have to release more later, losing speed temporarily, and this made me think that it's not worth it. But after a lot of analyzing in the track editor, I've got to a conclusion that maybe it actually does, so I started trying. And then I ruined one of the top runs I'd ever made. It felt so perfect, a good start, a great drop part, the best end I ever got, and a ramstand bug that ruined my run, all because I landed on this very specific blue line near the finish. This was a 26:19 pace. Any other single landing would have resulted in a world record. I'm a calm person, so luckily for me I didn't smash my keyboard at that very moment. It took a bit of my morale, but I kept going. Because after all, this is the proof that I can actually do it. This is what I've been waiting for after all. And then something happened. I tried this map for so long and finally got my first ever 2620, which made me try even harder. I could also finally play versus my new ghost that uses my wider new line, so now I just knew it's only a matter of time. The next period of time was quite funny. Both me and Demon played A07 a lot. I tried it offline, he streamed it, and then we both failed again and again. And it went like that for quite some time. I think the pressure on both of us got pretty high, but pressure is both good and bad, and luckily it made me try my hardest sometimes. And after one more world record tie and 8 world record ties by PabloGD, me and Demon in total, we finally did it. What some players consider to be the unthinkable, a 26:19. I say we because it's an achievement of all of us. I don't think it would happen unless we as a collective wanted to push the limits just a bit farther once again. This is one of my top times in the game, but at the same time, regardless of what you may think, the limit had not been reached just yet. Both me and Demon agree that the human limit is somewhere close to 0.16, and I know we both felt close to 0.18 runs, which will be done one day 100%. So that's basically it. Be dedicated, precise, time your corners properly, get into the zone, learn how to analyze tracks properly, and hopefully you will get what you want, or at least just what you need. Since so many of you asked how to play this track correctly, let me try and explain it real quick. The start is quite advantageous to pad, but you can still get it with keyboard. Steer gently and make sure you get to the ramp with your car facing diagonally to get a better grip. Then tilt your car near the end of the ramp, but stop the tilt mid-air with an air brake, so that you don't spend too much time regaining control over your car. Then try landing around this line so that with a hard right turn, you can be precise for the next corner. Then drive near to the next wall, but make sure not to steer just yet. Then, when drifting, try to reach the next section as fast as you can, as the difference between a narrow drift and a wide drift is quite small. By reaching the next part earlier, you'll have more time stabilizing before the drop, which is much more important. Then, if done correctly, a small release should help you with being precise, to both the wall on the left and the wall on the right. It will also help you with approaching the last section. When you reach the last drift, try being somewhat close to the wall on your left and much closer to the wall on your right. This will help you have more grip over your car, because while most of the track is quite flat, the end is on a different level, so going wider is fine, but you don't want to go too wide. For the end, simply try to stay low for less airtime and then drive to your left and stabilize. These are the basics. I'll explain them up in greater depth in the future trackmania course I'm currently working on. I would probably not drive this record if it wasn't for the amazing efforts of Racehans, Demon and PabloGD, and I got mad respect for anyone trying to push the limits even more. Thanks to Raceta for tassing my end and Mob for checking thousands, I can tell my time is 26.193 and would have been a 26.18 with a perfect end, but I am still happy with it. To sum it all up, here are my top 463 attempts, stretching from 26.19 to 26.27. And that's basically it. Thank you so much for your support. I hope you enjoyed this journey. Feel free to subscribe or join my Twitch or Discord if you want to get alerts when other videos like this go live. And until then, have a good one. Thanks for watching.